So I'm going to introduce our first speaker. We have with us tonight Dr. Robin Wilson, who earned his BA in mathematics from UC Berkeley and a PhD in mathematics at the University of California, Davis. He is currently a professor in the Department of Mathematics at Loyola Marymount University. His scholarship includes both mathematics and the scholarship of teaching and learning. Dr. Wilson's work in mathematics education focuses on the issues of equity and access for students of color in the K-12 and undergraduate mathematics classrooms. He currently serves as co-principal investigator of the National Science Foundation. The Storytelling for Mathematics Learning and Engagement Project seeks to explore the impact of mathematics storytelling by mathematicians of color on K-12 teacher and student mathematics learning and engagement. In addition to his scholarship, Dr. Wilson is also active in the local community, where he is a part of the Algebra Project Network and works to support programs that promote math literacy in the Los Angeles area. Please help me welcome Dr. Wilson.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's great to be here. It's great to learn about this group as well. And so, thanks for bringing me in. I'm looking forward to learning more about, what y'all are up to over here in Pasadena as well. So, hold on one second. My son just came in. So, I think I'll go ahead and get started. I appreciate the introduction. I did prepare some slides that will kind of allow me to share the sort of story that I have for you today. So let me make sure I got everything set up here on Zoom. I'm gonna need to use the sound too. So as you heard in the introduction, so I'm a professor in the Department of Mathematics at Loyola Marymount University. I've been in Southern California for about 15 years. I came down to take a position in the math department at Cal Poly Pomona, where I began my career as a professor. But I'm originally from Northern California. I grew up in Sacramento and Oakland, and spent some time in Berkeley, and also on the East Coast. I have a degree from Howard, so I spent some time in DC, and then came back to California to finish grad school and start my career. And during my time in graduate school, I got connected with the Algebra Project, and have been working with the Algebra Project on and off pretty much since that time. And that work has also helped give my career a particular focus on math literacy and success for Black students. So I'll tell you about this project. So it's a project that I've been working on with Dr. Erica Walker. Erica Walker, she's currently the dean at OISE, the Ontario Institute for the Study of Education. And so before that, she was the chair of the math department at Teachers College at Columbia University, and also the director of the Institute for Urban Studies there. And so this project builds off of a previous project of Dr. Walker's, and she's the PI and the brainchild behind the project, but I've been partnering with her on this for about the last 3 years. So the goals of this particular project are to challenge, our students on stereotypes of mathematics and mathematicians, and also build deeper understandings for students and teachers, I think for communities as well, of how our identities contribute to and expand our understanding and appreciation, and also mastery of STEM. So, I included this image of a friend of mine, Federico Ardila, because I think it gives, he's someone who really embraces his identities as Colombian American, DJ and a musician, among other things, and bring it all together with his mathematical identity. And so I think that's the kind of images that we're trying to put out for our students through this project, is images of how you can be both mathematically brilliant, and also embrace all of these other aspects of our identities that we make us who we are too. So this is Dr. Walker. I think the first version of this project was actually a book that she wrote called Beyond Banneker, Black Mathematicians in the Path to Excellence. And so with the book, what she did was she interviewed 30 Black research mathematicians, and she really tried to identify mathematicians that were from the previous generation, like the sort of as far back as she could, to talk to folks that were still living, but were some of the first Black mathematicians, and a lot of them had gone to school during the Jim Crow era, and she kind of followed through folks that had come up in the 1980s. And so with this project, we actually interviewed 31 research mathematicians from a younger generation. All of these folks, well, not all of them, but predominantly are folks that have gotten their PhDs in the 90s or 2000s. And we've also included some older mathematicians as well. But some of the things that we're interested in are, as research questions, are how do these digital stories affect teachers and students, math learning and engagement, and how do they influence teachers' beliefs about students and mathematics and teaching as well. So I'm going to share with you some of the videos today, and if we have time, I'd love to hear your thoughts about them. So excuse me, I got kids running around. So this is the team. Dr. Walker is the principal investigator, but there's also a group of 5 graduate students that work with Dr. Walker, and they've been instrumental with this project. So I got to shout out the whole team. So I'm going to start with the video of Tasha Ennis. Tasha Ennis, she'll introduce herself, but she's currently a provost at Spelman College, and she's an applied mathematician. How's the audio, yo? Can you hear?
We can't hear anything yet.
Not yet? Okay, let's see.
I could hear it a little bit.
Yeah,
I could
it's
hear
starting.
it.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure.
My name
We can hear it.
is Tasha Ennis, and I am an associate provost for research at Spelman College, as well as an associate professor of mathematics. I am an applied mathematician. And so what do I mean by that? I mean, I take my math knowledge and the theory and I apply it to real world problems. So I feel as if my math solves problems to help the world. And I know that sounds very, I don't know, cliche or grandiose, but I really want to see my math in action, right? And as an applied mathematician, I can do that. As an applied mathematician, when I was in grad school, I worked closely with the Federal Aviation Administration because I was trying to help them estimate or figure out the number of planes that can land at an airport when there's bad weather outside. Because when there's bad weather, you can't see as well, which means that you can't have certain runway configurations because you don't want the planes to collide. Also, when there's bad weather and you can't see, you have to have more of a separation between planes. And so you would have less flights that can land at an airport in a given time frame. At the time, I used data mining to figure out, to just collect data on just looking at the weather conditions that contributed to a particular, what was called AAR, so airport arrival rate. So I would look at the conditions, so wind speed, wind direction, and so forth. What was the AAR depending on that? And so that's what I use data mining, and that kind of helped inform the development of my mathematical model.
Okay, so that was Tasha Ennis. And so to create these videos, we interviewed each mathematician for 1 hour, and we worked with a video production team to take 3 shorter clips. And so for each mathematician, we have a trio of videos one where they introduce themselves, one where they share a little bit about their research, and either one where they either introduce a math content area for K to 12 students, or where they talk a little bit more in depth about their educational experiences, advice for teachers, or advice for students. And so I'll show you a few more of the videos to give you an idea of the sort of product that we've been able to put together. So this is Dwayne Cooper, and he's a professor at Morehouse College. He's actually one of my mentors, and he's such a fantastic storyteller. And he's introducing, a pretty advanced mathematical concept called convergence.
Hello, I'm Dwayne Cooper, and one of my favorite mathematical memories, my grandfather, my mom's father, who I guess he saw I had a mathematical mind. In fact, he was always worried about me because I wanted to be a baseball player. He would say, "You're going to waste that good mind playing baseball." And when I was 12, I couldn't hit. Well, it wasn't just I couldn't hit the curveball, I couldn't hit the fastball either. So at about that time, I had to let baseball go and double down on mathematics. But he would, even when I was a little kid, I'm talking like maybe, I don't know, maybe 6 years old, something 5, 6 years old or something. And he would walk, and he'd walk halfway to the end of the porch. And say, Dwayne, if I walk halfway to the end and halfway again, how many steps will it take me to get there? And it's, a little kid, 5. So you go halfway, and then halfway again, and halfway again. And then he didn't make it because, of course, the steps get smaller progressively by half. And so 10. So he did 5 more, and no, he kept inching. And of course, then I got the idea. You never actually get there, but he's practically there. If he wanted to reach out and touch the end of the porch, he could. He was so close. And I always tell this story even now as a college professor, when I introduce the idea of convergence. That is the idea. So the idea of convergence and adding fractions. So let's think of the fractions that we're adding here. If we think of trying to get from 0 to 1, and 0 is the start of the porch and 1 is at the end of the porch, then what he's been doing when he went halfway, it was half. Then half of a half is a fourth. Half of a half of a half is an eighth. So we're adding a half and a fourth and an eighth, and then a 16th, and then a 1/32. Each one is half the size of the previous one, but we keep adding, we add on and add on. When I think convergence, the idea is you get closer and closer and closer. And then the question becomes, how close is close enough? And ultimately, the idea is it doesn't matter. However close you want to get, you can get there.
Okay, so that's Dr. Cooper. And so let me just pause for a moment, and I'd love to hear some of your thoughts and questions about the couple of videos we shared. I do have a couple more that are more focused on advice to students and to teachers.
Hey, Dr. Wilson, I don't see any questions in the chat. My name is Tatul, by the way. Thank you so much for being here. I'm a science guy, and I've got so many questions, and my brain's going crazy, and I can geek out on this all day. But I wonder if anyone has any questions in the chat. If not, maybe we'll have people think about it some more, and we'll keep it pushing.
Yeah, if not, that's all good. I just wanted to, to pause and give a chance for anyone just to ask questions or add on.
I'm not a typer. I was gonna write something, but can I say it?
Sure,
yeah,
go ahead.
absolutely.
Okay. Well, first of all, I love the mathematics, and especially applied mathematics, because I think for most students, the tradition is, why are we doing this? Why is this important? My grandfather used to say that the only math that makes money, that counts, is if you counted money. So, but when you show that math can be used to answer questions that other people would think is impossible, it looks really cool. And I like how you show all the different diagrams of how on convergence. That's a cool way to put it in ways where children can understand. I just would like to see. I think when you pose a question first and then you introduce them to the people that are solving it, it makes it more interesting. Like show what the conversion question is and then show the people who are solving it. So, oh, this person looks like me, or this person, you know. So I think it's a beautiful sentiment, and it's awesome.
Can you give us your name? We can't tell because we're not in full screen.
Oh, I'm sorry. My name is KiMi Wilson, and I'm here with my wife Donna.
Ah, thank you for the question.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And a comment.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think maybe before I continue, I want to say a little bit more about how these videos were sort of planned to be used. So we're working in conjunction with this company called Amplify, and I guess the Amplify Math is the math subsidiary. And so Amplify creates software and digital curriculum that districts have been using around the country, different districts. And so the original plan was for these videos to be embedded in their digital software. And then also Dr. Walker and I also have ownership of all the videos, the long form videos and the shorter videos. And we're going to be making these videos publicly available in an online database, and with the hope of getting and freely available with the hope of getting them to teachers. So part of the research project is to figure out what ideas teachers have and the different ways that teachers might take these videos and use them. But we're also hoping to get them out to other get them get exposure at other venues as well, libraries, museums, and also organizations like this in front of Black parents, so that we can start to build sort of a different perception in the community about what mathematics is and what it's for. So let me turn to Dr. Winger. Dr. Winger is at Georgia Gwinnett College outside Atlanta, Georgia. Let's see if this works.
I would like to say something to people who are interested in math and people who aren't, that it's here, right? And so I can only offer you that it saved my life, the subject. It is my belief that it's tied to our positioning as citizens in the world, that as you grow up and you want to be the best person possible and you want to have the greatest life you can have, then being quantitatively oriented, being mathematically oriented will put you in so much of a better place. And it's in part because of where the world is going. The world is, moving faster, and people are talking mathematically, and institutions are using math to support us and to be against us. And so it's a language that we need to be speaking in order to have the best life we can have. So, and I believe, regardless of whatever you're going through now in your math experience, just hold on to the fact that it gets better, and that having conversations with your teachers about math on the side, looking out in the world, using the internet to see how math shows up, will let you know what I've been saying the whole time, is that it's the greatest thing in the world in terms of subjects.
I guess something I want to add is that our initial plan was to fly around and do all these interviews in person, but the pandemic happened, and so we decided to pivot and do all these videos, over it wasn't Zoom, but it was sort of a Zoom-like platform. But it's interesting because it gives a much different perspective. With that video, it really felt like the earth is like looking you in the eye and talking right to you, and so we're really excited to find out about how students resonate with this message. So this is the last one I'll share from Dr. Shelby Wilson. I think she's at the University of Maryland now. So she does applied mathematics, and so she's got a message for teachers.
to teachers, I would say representation matters. And you don't have to be Black or brown to show your students that representation. I think that it can happen in the stories you tell. I think it can happen in the examples that you choose. I think it can happen in who you interact with and who you say that you know. And I think that just to give students something to hold on to. I think that we have so many Black and brown students who want to be doctors or want to be lawyers or want to be engineers. And that's a wonderful thing, but that's because they don't know that physicists and mathematicians and chemists exist, right? To the extent possible that you can give these students just the exposure so that they know that it's a possibility, that they know that there are others like them who have chosen this path, and that should they choose to, we're here and we're ready to welcome them with open arms. And to the extent that you can facilitate that in your classroom, I think that would be amazing.
Okay, so yeah, Shelby's dope. She's actually the granddaughter. Her grandmother was also a mathematician. So you know, this sort of generational a thing that's sort of been passed on there in her family. And so you know, we mentioned we're sharing these with teachers and trying to get an idea about the different ways that teachers might use these videos in the classroom. This is sort of outside of being embedded in the digital software. But we, you know, we got some promising feedback. We're actually still under production. The videos are still under production. So we have 30 interviews, about 3 videos per mathematician. So there's about 90 of these videos that we'll have available at the end of the project. And then these are some of the feedback from some of the students in the focus groups that we've done with them. We've asked them, you know, what are the first 3 words that come to mind, and you can see some of the ideas there from them in the number cloud, that math being fun and useful, words like play. And so those are things that we really want to see, and ideas that we really want to get across in students' minds when it comes to doing mathematics. So I think that's what I planned on sharing with y'all. We have a website where we have a few of these videos that we're sharing right now. Once the research project is done at the end of December, we'll be able to release the whole collection. And we have another grant from the National Science Foundation to continue developing the videos and develop lessons that can be paired with the videos. It's sort of like a toolkit, so that you know, that they can be used by teachers, after school programs, but also parents that are interested, you know, Black parents that are doing homeschooling and that sort of thing. And so you know, we're pretty pleased with the work, and it's been a long project, you know, over almost 3 years now and still ongoing. So there's also a survey. If you get a chance to visit the website, we'd love any feedback that you have about the video. So I will stop there and say thank you.
Next up, actually, we have Carla Boykin, who's now the administrator for our Math Power Hour program that AAPC spearheaded with our PUSD partners and UTP partners about 3 or 4 years ago also. But we want to welcome Carla because she's actually new to the team, and she's here just to give us an update on where we stand.
Well, good evening, everyone. I'm happy to be here. A little bit about myself. I'm a now newly into my 2nd year retired teacher from PUSD. I was with PUSD for over 35 years, doing administrative work for about half my career, and the other in the classroom. My last assignment was at Hamilton Elementary School. I was first introduced to AAPC going to a meeting with Dr. Rima Reynolds, who was like the founder of AAPC. She asked for a seat at the table. No, she demanded a seat at the table. I said, I took note. I said, this is a bad sister. You know, she said she wants resources to go toward African-American students to close the achievement gap. You know, we're talking about this achievement gap constantly, but, you know, there was no funding that was directed to it. You know, there was funding for EL, but, you know, let's have some funding, she said, for our African-American students. And that was the, you know, beginning of AAPC. More about Math Power Hour, which is one of the initiatives that African American Parent Council created. And the founders of that, or creators, are Natasha and Nate, who are on the board. Their brainchild to see how they could support African American students in math, and starting at a young age. Before, I saw someone had a comment about, you know, kids getting that stigma of math is so hard, it's too hard. And so getting them at a place at a young age where they don't feel that stigma of, you know, I can't do this, you know, make math fun. So some of the founding partners, this organization, you know, has been around for a number of years. They have partners that they've worked with. So in 2018, when they decided this initiative was going to take off, they invited PUSD to partner with them. UTP, Pacific Oaks, and Reading Partners were also a part of this. They all came to the table and kind of brainstormed how they could work together and collaboratively. Then the pandemic hit 2019, and the program started in 2019. They were actually in the classroom, then the pandemic hit, so they were no longer able to do it. And then they became back in the classroom in 2022, 2023. I also want to backtrack and say, like, I came on the radar of AAPC through their, I'm going to go make sure I get it right, the Black History Living Museum. During that time of the pandemic, I did a heavy deep dive into social justice with my students, fifth graders at Hamilton Elementary School. It was like, you know, during the time of the George Floyd murder, and you know, the presidency, the whole thing around with Trump and Biden coming in, and Amanda Gorman. There was so much rich material to talk to kids about social justice. And our school was open to that, and we did a deep dive. And my kids, my students, I call them my kids, were participants with AAPC and that museum. And then the following year, I think it was 2 years later, when they went live, and I brought a whole nother group of students to participate. And I guess that's when they took note. So when they needed a coordinator, they came back and asked me to be their coordinator for this. So back to Math Power Hour. Math Power Hours is at currently at 8 schools. It started with 6 schools: Washington Elementary, Norma Coombs, McKinley, Jackson, Willard, and Altadena. 2 new schools this year are Hamilton and Longfellow, and they are ecstatic to now be a part of this program. We currently have 104 African-American students that have been identified to work with. There are 35 classroom teachers that signed up to participate in this at these 8 schools. And we have volunteers. We have over 33 volunteers who have already stepped up to the plate to participate. And we are going to need at least 50 more. I'm going to put that number out there again, at least 50 more. But I want to backtrack again and just tell us a little about how this initiative started. The purpose, again, was to establish a firm, I'm going to read this because I don't want to get this wrong, firm fundamental understanding of the early math concepts. And so they targeted first and second graders. They wanted to do this before they start testing in third grades. And a lot of times students are misdiagnosed and not put in correct math groups. And so this is early intervention to make sure that these kids have a good foundation, so that when testing comes along, they have a better chance at being identified correctly. There are 3 principles that stand around this. The studies have shown that math and early numeracy skills are the greatest predictors of educational success. And that is so true. You know, we talk about the school to prison pipeline. It starts at third grade. And so we get them early on, then hopefully we can stop that pipeline. It is also agreed that math is a gateway to college. Math is a gateway to college. It truly is. If they are not able to get those skills, and in algebra in particular, when we get to high school, there's going to be a problem, and they're usually not going to be able to go to the higher level grades with success. The third principle, many students' math achievement potential, again, is misidentified at an early age and never corrected. So the other area they wanted me to talk about is its function. We have the volunteers who come and get trained. They get fingerprinted, do all the work that needs to be done so that they can have their credentials to work in the classroom with the teachers. Teachers are identified who they want to work with, and then we partner. The volunteers let us know what times they can work with students. We're asking them at least 1 hour, because hour. The teachers let us know what their math schedule is when they have time for the volunteers to come into their classroom. It's a push-in program, not a pull-out, and that is more effective as a classroom teacher, I can tell you that. It also helps to have another body there so you can work with kids in small groups or one-on-one if you need to. It depends on the needs of the teacher. There was a training just recently, September 19th. It was a great success. Volunteers received math kits. Teachers came later on and also got some information so that they know what's going on and brought on board. Principals are aware of everything that's going on. So it's a partnership with everyone as we push this program out to the schools. There is updates. They get mid-year training reports. They do a survey to see, like pre-silver survey to see how the kids are before, kind of baseline before they continue on program, and then a post survey. I think I've covered all the things that Nia wanted me. Did I miss something?
Carla, you did the thing, girl.
It's
Yes.
amazing. Thank you, Carla.
Yes,
Thank
Carla.
you.
Thank you so much.
Dr. KiMi Wilson, he's going to introduce the Black Student and Family Task Force. So we are super excited about this work and the impact that we're going to have for our students. So Dr. KiMi Wilson is the CEO of Equation to Success, Inc., an educational consulting firm dedicated to revolutionizing education in underserved communities through partnerships with school districts, nonprofit organizations, and businesses throughout California and nationwide. Equation to Success has received consulting contracts with the Los Angeles Unified School District, San Jacinto Unified School District, and the Paris Unified School District, training administrators and us too. He's working with us too, guy. And the where he trains administrators, teachers, students. Equations to Success also developed an initiative focused on African American students called Humanizing Education for Equitable Transformation, which received $30 million in funding. KiMi was an assistant professor at Cal State LA in the Curriculum and Instruction Division of the Charter College of Education with 20 years experience teaching both K-12 and higher education. He also served in numerous roles, including teacher, curriculum designer, and education director of a National Science Foundation, Nanotechnology Engineering Research Center, yes indeed, at UCLA, to increase underrepresented populations in STEM. Dr. Wilson also served as principal investigator for the Future Male Minority Teachers of California initiative to increase male teachers of color throughout the California university system. Dr. Wilson is co-principal investigator for a Howard Hughes Medical Institute grant to advance equitable outcomes in the sciences. Dr. Wilson's new book, Black Boys Lived and Everyday Experiences in STEM, focuses on how Black students develop STEM identities in K-12 schooling. KiMi also serves as a Chief Learning Officer for GRX Immersive Labs. And Dr. Wilson, I never knew you were a STEM guy. I can't believe we've been talking all this time, and you were STEM. We've been talking STEM and geeking out this whole time.
I gotta keep some things hidden, Tatul.
Man, man, appreciate that. And yo, I just gotta say, Dr. Wilson, tons of energy, and he brings so much positive energy to this work, and he's really a warrior for our students, our Black students, and we're excited to have him here. to facilitate this work. So Dr. Wilson, floor is yours, sir.
The tool, brother, your check is in the mail, fam. Listen, I got it for you. But listen, first of all, can I just shout out my AAPC fam? Like, y'all know I love y'all deep. I love y'all hard. Y'all are doing some incredible, amazing, much needed work. And so anybody that I come in contact with knows that I stand for the African American Parent Council of Pasadena Unified School District. You guys are moving the needle for education, and I know that you guys can serve as a model for parent organizations, but also more broadly districts across the country. And so I salute the work that I have with you all, that I'm doing with you all. It's been a great experience. We were actually, some of my AAPC parents were actually in these academic streets with me today. We were visiting OEB, Octavia Butler. We also visited Washington. And so part of this work, I'm engaging in school site visits. And so far I've visited Norma Coombs, and I've also visited, so it's been Norma Coombs, Washington, and Octavia Butler. And we've had some phenomenal conversations with leaders. We saw some students doing some great, incredible work. So just know that we're just now here talking the talk. We're actually on boots on the ground and hitting the ground running and in the schools and doing some incredible work. And I'll talk more broadly with you all about that right now. So let me share my screen real quick. And we'll play from start. So I'm really tasked to lead the Black Student and Family Task Force. It is an honor, number one, to facilitate this work, to really engage how are we changing system structures and practices in PUSD to really benefit Black student achievement and have a holistic approach to really making sure that we care about the focus on the well-being of the entire child, not just that academic piece, right? But that social emotional learning, really thinking about the entirety of the Black child and the family that actually navigates schooling with children, right? They don't do it alone. And also we know that families are comprised of many different dimensions. And so we're also taking that into account. So I'm just here to really give you a scope of the work and lay out what we've been doing thus far. So my task force team, this is on my side. We have myself, we have Renita Scott, who is an amazing mathematician mind. Also, I always try, the adage is I always try to surround myself with people who are smarter than I am. That's why I also am good friends with Dr. Robin Wilson, who presented to you earlier. That's my brother. And so I always make sure I'm surrounding myself with people who know more than I am, to just so that I can have incredible insight on the work. And so we also have Hasmeen Navarro, who is our VP of Operations. And these are folks that are intimately tied to the work just as much as I am. What's the vision for our task force, right? Really about empowering the Black Student and Family Task Force and its extended community, both individually and collectively, to build equity, access, and opportunity for Black students and families, really to ensure Pasadena Unified School District strategic focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion to be realized. As you all are aware, board member Michelle Richardson Bailey wrote Resolution 2566 that really speaks about what we needed to do in terms of Black student achievement and for Black families across this district. And so that's the vision. The roadmap has been laid. My only task is to make sure that we deliver on what that resolution outlined for our community. What are some of the goals of our task force, right? That first layer is really doing a needs assessment. This really just talks about getting an overall view of what's going on, right? As a facilitator and as AAPC council, we don't want to make any assumptions about anybody, any assumptions about teaching, learning, administration, school sites, any of that. And so right now we're just doing a deep dive into seeing how are Black students and families currently experiencing PUSD. And once we do that work, the goal is to really think deeply about an implementation plan, really based on the things that we saw in the interactions we had and input from the community, right? What are some things that we think the district should implement in realizing the needs that it needs to meet for Black students and families. And also after the implementation plan, we're really thinking about making this an LCAP metric, right? The local control accountability plan. Oftentimes, many other external stakeholders have their stake in what goes on for children. And we want to make sure that we stake our claim in what we want to do for Black children. So we definitely want to be in that LCAP piece, right? Also, policy, we want to also create policy recommendations for the recruitment and retention of certificated and classified staff. Even as I was walking the academic streets today, I had interaction with one Black male teacher, right? And I know most of my parents who've been on the tours along with the site visits along with me, kids jump when they see me and they radiate, and I'm having conversations. And so we know the importance of Black teachers, and we also know the importance of Black male teachers. So really thinking about how are we digging deep into those policy pieces. The ultimate goal, right, is to establish an Office of Black Student Success. This is something that we want to have institutionalized. This is what we want this office to serve as a high degree of accountability for Black students and families. So that is our ultimate goal. Where are we at right now? So we have task force phases, right? August and November, in the induction, the data collection, listening tour, and data synthesis. So right now, we are in that data collection and listening tour phase, right? We're looking at all types of data. I've been getting all types of data from PUSD. We are so grateful and thankful they've been forthright about giving us access to lots of data, specifically focused on our Black children and families, and right, our Black personnel that are in the district. So we're really going through that data because it was important to me to really disaggregate it, to really see what's going on and really speak to those things that, you know, sometimes can get buried in just general data, right? Doing site visits, we're having audience with teacher unions, right? CSEA, I had an opportunity to meet with them, meeting with the United Teachers of Pasadena, right? APSA, so really engaging all stakeholders that do the work in educating our children. Also, we're going to be having some town halls. I'll be talking more about that. And also the goal is we're really trying to recruit task force members to help us do this work. We don't want to do this work alone. It's the community input that's going to be important to get what the community needs. And so we're very clear on that. Also, we have our December through February plan creation, plan presentation to the board, and then March through June, we're really looking at plan implementation process. Subcommittees. So in a minute, you'll see a QR code that we want everybody on this call to fill out because we want everyone to begin to populate these subcommittees. Our subcommittees fall into 6 categories: education, enrollment, engagement, facilities, culture and climate, and special education. We're really focused on these areas. And just for the record, I want to make a disclaimer about special education because I think it's important to really unpack that piece. We know philosophically, me and APC also know, right, that special education falls under the education bucket. But we have a serious problem. We have a problem of Black students being misidentified in special education. We also have a serious problem where special education students are not receiving the services that they need. And so because of those heightened issues, we needed to pull that out. That is not an othering, that is not a marginalization of special education, but we want to have a special focus on special education so that it becomes inclusive in that education piece. So I just wanted to make sure that we are very clear on that. And education is really talking about what we're doing in terms of having our kids be on above grade level, right? We're really talking about enrollment. How are we engaging current students and Black families, right? Looking at enrollment, how are we increasing that? Looking at facilities, what are kids experiencing on a daily basis when they go into the school site, right? Because as you all know, sometimes we often see a lot of things that we went through schooling with still being done in 2023. And so we need to think about how we are reimagining school space, right? Culture and climate, really thinking about that social emotional learning piece, affinity groups for our students, and really thinking about professional feeder patterns in learning communities. And then again, just really, we want everyone to really be a part of this subcommittee work. How can you do that? Sign up today. There's a slide with a QR code. Pull out your phone, scan it today. We need everyone to sign up. Everyone that is on this call, sign up to be a part of the Black Student Task Force work. We just have some small basic questions that we want to ask you, but we really want this work to be the voice of our community. This is not solely just AAPC folk, exec leadership doing the work. We want to make sure that you're passing it out. I've met with the clergy community, the clergy coalition, community coalition, right? They're involved. So we want to make sure that everybody is met with NAACP. We just want to make sure that everybody accepts this clarion call and really get involved in this task force work, because the subcommittee is where the true work is happening. And I'm pushing, right? I'm pushing for our community event. It's this Saturday. You need to meet me there, Franklin Elementary. It's going down 10:30 to 12:30, right? Childcare and refreshments will be provided. And we just want to give just a deeper lens into this work, introduce you to the folk and some of the faces that are really championing this work, and really just make sure that this is an exciting community event for all of us. We are doing this for our community, so we want to make sure that you all come out, show up, show out, and just have a great time really launching this work. Thank you for your time.